it really means to live life golden. Yeah, we're golden, baby girl, we're golden. They're about to see us shine, cause we're golden.
Get back into full view when, according to the curvature of the Earth, it should be obscured. Part of the boat should be obscured by the curvature of the Earth, yet we're able to bring it back into full view. So I don't understand like why no
Yeah,
one brings that up, that anomaly, but like
I
got an
think they
answer for you.
do, but a lot of people.
like it or not. You might not accept my answer, but I got an answer for you.
sure,
Well, that's because of refraction, of course.
atmospheric refraction, right?
Oh.
But unfortunately, atmospheric refraction it can only occur with very specific atmospheric conditions. It's not an everyday occurring phenomena. You have to have it. It has to be the right conditions for atmospheric refraction. I mean, okay, we can take another example of the law of perspective and, disproving the curvature of the Earth. Have you ever heard of Sawyer de Uni, Mayhem? The Bolivian salt flats?
Yeah, I know that place. I heard about it.
Okay. So if you go there, if you've seen it, it's about like 100 kilometers wide and in all directions. Let's say it rains a little bit, like 3 inches of rain per se in this Bolivian salt flats. The reason why it's popular and people know about it is because it makes it look like it's a giant mirror, perfectly flat mirror. It's not convex, not concave. It's a perfectly flat mirror for over 100 kilometers.
What's it called?
Sawyer de Uni. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but just type in Bolivian salt flats. There you go. That's or Bonneville salt. Is that what it's called? There you go. Let's see here. Let's look at this video real quick. Actually, I don't know about the Bonneville salt flats, but apparently that's another salt flats place. But the one I'm thinking of is in Bolivia. There we go. Secret Asian Man posted a picture of it right there. Gorgeous, by the way. So let's
Looks
take that
legitimately
consideration.
heaven.
Yeah, it's like a perfect mirror. Like there's no warping in the reflected image. It's completely flat. That's not what I'm not saying that proves it, but what I am saying is if you're able to see for over 100 kilometers perfectly like that far of a distance, where it looks like it's a perfect mirror, completely, symmetrical with the image that you're looking at. Like if you're standing 50 kilometers away, and you're looking at something another 50 kilometers away over there, it's the same mirrored image.
Yeah,
like
there's no curvature. Yeah,
there's
I
no
see what you mean.
concaveness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
But my argue. I mean, I solely believe Earth is completely flat too. But my argue there is that Earth could be that very big.
Okay. Let's say that's the case, right? Let's say that that's the case. That the Earth is so big that you're unable to see the curvature of the Earth
for a while. Yeah. For like.
Okay. Well, let's go back to Eratosthenes. Let's go back because that's important. That's basically where we got the measurement of the Earth, right?
Yeah, but I thought you said we can agree to disagree about Eratosthenes. Why are we going?
No, we are. But we're going back. We're going back to the measurement, though.
I'm doing. I'm like I said. Yeah. Keep going.
So the important part of that measurement, right, is that it confirms, quote unquote, confirms that the Earth is about 25,000 miles in diameter, which is important. It's very important, because based on that calculation and of spherical trigonometry, by I think it was Aristotle. Let me look this up. There's actually a calculation that you can look up yourself that measures the curvature of the Earth. And it is this calculation, bear with me. And this is very important.
Wouldn't it be crazy if we don't even live in a flat or sphere? It's just a matrix.
So let's see here.
It's like, oh, guess what? It's all a simulation. That's crazy.
Let's see here. So, based on the law perspective and the measurement of the quote unquote curvature of the Earth, that when we're looking at the horizon, that anything that we see, I believe it is 6 inches per mile squared. I believe. I can't remember the exact thing. If anyone could help me out here, can't remember exactly what to find here. I can't remember what. I'll try to find it on Google, and it keeps giving me different things. But I think it's 8 inches.
Never give him 6 inches when you can give him 8.
There you go, 8 inches. 8 inches per mile squared. Per mile of distance that you're looking at. So let's take 100 kilometers, for example. 100 kilometers to miles is about 62 miles. So if I'm in Sawyer to Uni and I'm able to see perfectly all the way to the other side of the salt flats where you can see the mountains, like for example, in that picture, which is about 100 kilometers. So if it's 8 inches per mile squared, in terms of how your perspective line, like your horizon line, starts to dip according to the curvature, then that means those mountains, for example, 100 kilometers, say, and I'm sorry I don't have the exact numbers about those mountains, but you don't even need to because 62 miles, it's long enough to see a difference. Though those mountains should not be in view. They should actually be about, let's see, 8 inches per mile squared. So 8 inches times 62 miles. Let's see, so in feet.
So you're telling me the people who made these rules are kind of like screwing themselves over because people are like proving themselves, wrong because of these
Well,
measurements now.
if
I mean,
you
I think
have,
so. Yeah.
I mean, if you have 25,000 miles in diameter, if that's like what you're basing this entire
Globe.
Globe measurement on, which is basically just fucking
Common
two
knowledge. It should be,
dudes
right?
or a dude that basically put a stick in the ground, like.
Uh-huh.
And let's take that at face value. Let's say it is 25,000 miles in diameter. Okay, so according to spherical trigonometry, it's about 8 inches per mile squared. That your horizon line, like your vision, like the way your eyes see, you can't. You would start to see that curve, based on how many miles are if it's 25,000 miles, right? That means Earth is that's limited to that space, and it's a sphere. So you can actually have a calculation about how much curvature you're going to be seeing as you go further down your perspective line. So if I'm looking at 62 miles away at those mountains, then that should be per mile squared, 8 inches, 8 times 6, that's 48. 8 times 2, that's 16, 496. So that should be about 49 feet below your horizon. Like, you should not be able to see those mountains. It should be 49 feet below your law of perspective. I'm not sure if I'm doing this math right, but essentially it's impossible to be able to see those mountains in full view. It just doesn't make sense. Like,
That's interesting. I've never been brought up that point from that kind of place because you're right. It is completely flat. And I'm sure we can make this with several other flat places.
a lot of places.
Yeah.
But the reason why I choose this is because it's very
The mirror.
visual, that it's a mirror. Like, you can see that it's perfectly flat. And like your question earlier, what you said, well, the reason why we can't see the curvature is it's too big, right?
Yeah, well, that was my rebuttal.
Right. It's too big. We can't see it. Yet, we're able to see the curvature of the Earth from the beach. That makes no
Right.
sense. That's illogical. In fact, how are
Mhm.
we not high enough in the air to see how big the Earth is and the curvature of the Earth?
Oh,
Yet we're.
but Red Bull clearly, as they knows
Oh, you seen that? I've seen that too.
the jump. Yeah.
Where you can see it totally change the fisheye lens. But
Yeah.
but to keep it like in fact-based stuff, it's like going by their logical and fallacies. It's maddening because you can go about it for fucking hours on end and nothing will get done. But I get
Yeah,
what
for sure.
Mayhem's doing. I get what these. You have to become correct when you're discussing this stuff. But the one
Did you
thing.
cut out just then? Mic check.
He's
Hello?
still good. He's good. It might have been just you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Mike is still here.
All I heard was, I get what Mayhem's doing. Anyway, hey, speaking of, Miggy, what's happening?
What's up, brother?
Did you cut out Beasticles?
I don't think he did.
I'm not sure if I am or not.
I think I heard him.
Oh,
I
okay,
think you were
okay.
cutting out on your own. But yeah, man, that's a very good point. And like I said, it took me a while to really fully grasp that this whole world, possibly
Let
could
me
be,
let me
or
yeah.
it's most likely flat.
Excuse me for a second, guys. Let me talk to my the students in here, the academy. Guys, this exercise was meant for you guys to listen to and critique. We're going to go ahead and open up the panel to anything that you guys have heard within this critique. You guys go ahead and kind of help him out a little bit. Teach him how we do things here and kind of show him like what the arguments are about, what went wrong, what could have been better, and all that kind of good stuff. We can open up the floor to you guys listening to this conversation. Me asking Beasticle some of those questions. So go ahead. If anybody wants to jump in, if you were hearing the conversation between me and Beasticles,
Hell yeah.
go ahead. Well, just listen to some honest critique, okay, Beasticles? So no slight to you, it's just honest critique, okay? All right. So anybody want to jump in, or we all good?
All I can say is when I first tuned into this a little while ago, I thought somebody had cloned your voice and was just BSing. I didn't realize at first that you were role playing.
Well, it's much more than that, though, because what happens is when you actually test the metal of your argument, you start to realize where the holes are. Now, was anything that was being said? Are we all good? First of all, with between the way I was arguing, the way he was arguing, did everybody come out good? Are we all good, or nobody's got nothing to say about it, or what's up?
I'd say Beasticles needs some more practice.
Yeah,
I think
agree
I
with
think
that.
I think honestly, I didn't know
Go
what
ahead.
the fuck was going on. I think Beasticles were bringing some great points. I would just probably keep the math to a minimum because that was kind of like putting me, or my attention wasn't being as focused as as when you started saying bunch of numbers. That could just be me.
No, I'm just asking everybody actually, so anybody can put their input. Because when we all come up to this, the point where we're actually having these discussions, arguments, or whatever, we wanted to present it in front of everyone. So this is kind of like a test run. So is everybody good with what's being said? Because I don't hear anybody else except for Wade Bixer and Big Root. Was it Big Root that said something?
Well, one thing I would say just specifically
mocking,
that
bro.
Beasticles really needs to know the times, the dates, the numbers. When it comes to 8 inches per mile squared, you should know that like the back of your hand and not say 6 inches or something like that. When you get into a debate with somebody or with a discussion and you're
Yeah, they're
tripping
gonna
over
chew
your own
you out
words,
for that.
that's not good.
Gotcha. No, and that's completely understandable critique. And that's kind of like why I'm here anyway. I definitely, because I am a flat earther for sure. I
Well,
might not exactly
no, it's cool.
have it in front of me.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
cool. But what I'm saying is like when you get
gotta be
into the level of
prepared.
just check this out, right? When you get into the level of the kind of discussions that we get into in here, we meet every archetype of personality from the selfish to the weasel,
Childish.
just everybody who's just trying to put one over on you or say something, interrupt you. They'll speak louder than you or whatever the case is. But what I'm showing you, because I pretended to be the nice, calm Glober, right? So for you guys to hear me like the way I was retorting to you was the way they would normally. Because I've heard all the things that I told you was basically what I was told when I was learning how to refine the argument. So there's a lot to learn and to glean from the people that are in this server. And so what I'd say is that I know you might be, I don't know, seniority wise, like 10 years in flat earth or something. I don't know how long you in it, but that to me, it doesn't matter. It's not about seniority. It's about learning the arguments and understanding how to address them. So for me, it's more of like you have to be well equipped. And this server, it sharpens your mind and your arguments get quick. You don't have to waste time with bloat. There's a lot of bloat that you actually
Right.
get to,
Mhm.
which is what I call derivative topics. Derivative
Mm.
topics are not needed if you can fundamentally take out the whole argument, right? And so if you've ever, I don't know, you don't know who I am, but I've curated the 3 points. The 3 points from the time that I started to where they're at today are in a sense, well, I would say they're basically a tool that you can use to actually come at somebody to expose what kind of knowledge they have about the Earth being a globe. Now, once you have that knowledge, then you can move forward and then refine your logically consistent points to the person, and then they can understand what you're saying. Because right now, when you speak to a glober, they have their defenses up, their walls up. You haven't taken anything down, so they're gonna fight back on every point that you give them, right?
Right.
So what I didn't, it was no effort on my part to just tell you that somebody else figured it out, and there was no coming to reconciliation of why I don't have that knowledge. You didn't make me understand that. So for me, it was just I was just kicking back, listening to you say whatever you wanted to. In my head, I was playing the guy who was just like, you know what? I know it's still a globe. You haven't convinced me. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I made your job difficult. So
Right. Right.
you were doing the heavy lifting. Meanwhile, I was the one listening to you tell me how the earth. You had to convince me. But see, in this specific arena, it's the other way around. We don't listen. We don't ever play defense. And if you start playing defense, then you're doing it wrong. So I always educate people here in this server about that. It's not about you playing
Defending your point,
defense.
yeah.
Once you start defending, you're already they
Losing.
got you on the ropes, and so they're gonna
Mhm.
they're,
So
they're
make
gonna they're
them
gonna keep
defend
you.
their claim.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so this and I put it to you like this: this discussion is not a debate. It's
Right.
not up for debate. So what it is the burden of proof rests on those who make the claim. So those who advocate for the claim, which is the Earth is a globe, they're the ones who are saying that the Earth is a globe, and they advocate for that position. Not saying that they made the claim themselves, but they advocate for it. So they're
Right.
saying, no, the Earth's a globe, and I know because the scientists told me or whatever. But so if that's the case, then the burden of proof rests on their shoulders alone. So what needs to happen is evidence needs to be put forth. So think of it like a court case, right? So
Right.
do you have a court case running, and so they are the ones that need to present the case for the Earth being a globe. So in order for them to do that, they need to sufficiently come forward with any evidence. So what you do is you're somebody to say, okay, present your evidence. Let's see what you have to present as far as evidence goes that the Earth is a globe. Now that's what you're waiting on. So if you get into like a spiel about like the Earth and the salt flats and all that stuff, you're trying to logically consistently provide evidence for the case of the Earth not being a globe but it's flat, but they're not going to see it because their walls are up. They have their side, you have your side, and then when it's their turn to speak, they're just going to retort and tell you, nope, it's a globe because you didn't factor in gravity, you didn't look at the Eratosthenes or something. So in order for you to avoid that, you have to get them to admit they don't know. So I always teach
Okay.
people I always teach people when they're in here is that when you go against an opponent that thinks that the Earth is a globe, you have to listen to the knowledge that they know. So the three questions, have you heard
It's
of
little
them?
to nothing.
No.
Okay, so the three questions are this, and I'm just going to tell you so you know for future.
Yeah.
I curated these three questions. It goes just like this: who has ever measured the curvature of the Earth any time in history with drop over distance?
Who has
Who has
measured
ever
the curvature of the Earth
any time
ever in history, any time in history, with drop over
with
distance?
drop over distance? So drop over distance excludes any other shenanigans from Eratosthenes, Aristotle, Al-Biruni, anybody who's ever any of the ancient guys, right? So what you're doing is you're cutting it off at the knees. So when they want to come back and say, well, Eratosthenes, you're like, no, 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 no. I didn't ask for sticks and shadows. What I asked for was drop over distance. So the consequent of the geometric shape being an oblate spheroid would deem necessary that the shape would demonstrate the sagittal. Point B, there's going to be an obstruction, which is the hump of the Earth in between point A and point B. Therefore, if that is the case, we have a drop rate over a distance. So the drop over distance is necessary. It's a necessary consequence of the Earth being an oblate spheroid. So if
Right.
you follow me on this, what happens is they have to demonstrate anytime in history that that drop over distance has been directly measured. Now, there isn't anything that has ever been done anytime in history that has been taken into account. So they're going to be fumbling around trying to figure out, give you half-hearted answers about, Samuel Rowbotham and, just other things, right? And you're going to be,
Satellites.
no, that's not what I'm asking for. What I'm specifically, what you do is at that point, you start to redirect.
Okay.
That's
You know,
not what That's not what I'm asking for. I'm specifically asking for a drop over distance. Is there so basically what I'm saying is this isn't a debate or left up for discussion. All it merely is for them to demonstrate their knowledge as to sufficiently answer the question, right? Has there been anyone to demonstrate that the Earth has been directly measured, that drop over distance has been measured? Now that's up. The burden of proof is on their shoulders. It's not on yours. So
Right.
at this current time, I would say turn off the answering of the questions. And they say, no, no, but then you prove to me the Eratosthenes. You say, we'll answer some questions after these three questions that I got to give you. I promise. We'll go through all whatever you need to, but first sufficiently answer my questions, and then we'll pour over ourselves into anything you want to know. But I have to know what you know first about the Earth being a globe. So first of all, you have to get them to answer those three questions sufficiently, or admit that the thing that you need from them, right, is the concession. It is the utmost, most important thing that you have to hear from their mouth. I don't know. If you don't listen, if you don't get that from them, the walls are going to be up and you will not penetrate their mind. So really, what you're doing is exposing their mind to everybody that's listening. So everybody's going to
opening
be
it up, I
gathered around.
guess. Yeah.
Everybody's going to be gathered around. Everybody's going to be trying to listen to how this debate is going to happen.
Right.
And
Live stream.
when you present it to them as in like, no, this right here, what we're doing is you who have the burden of proof are going to come forward and demonstrate to us that what you're claiming is true. So that is what's necessary right now, is that they don't understand that. They don't know that they have the burden of proof. They think
Right.
because you said flat earth, you got to prove it to them. And see, the magic trick, what happened was throughout the discussion, people on the flat earth side thought that we have to have the burden of proof because we have to demonstrate how the earth's. No, the earth is flat and stationary. So the burden of proof rests on those who are making a claim that is otherwise than what we know it to be.
Right.
Just like just like you were leading to tell me at the beginning with your questions, right? But another thing too is that this position that we have is not, and I repeat, is not an agree to disagree position. It's a right and wrong position. Either we're right or we're wrong. There's no other two ways about it. So with the demonstration that they're going to give you, it's either going to sufficiently answer the question that the Earth is an oblate spheroid with drop over distance, or they're going to not be able to present any to you. Which in
I
which
don't
case,
know. Right.
yeah. Which in what case? Okay, so 3 questions, right? So the first question is the Earth. Has the Earth ever been measured any time in history that it has drop over distance? They'll probably tell you, they'll run around and say, no, well, you won't like my answer, or no, Eratosthenes, and then
There'll
you
be
have
some
to.
pushback from that for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, the pushback will be a little bit, but for you, it's basically cleanup detail. You're just gonna have to like, nope, sorry, redirect back to the premise. Nope, I'm not. I'll talk to you about later on. If you want to ask me some questions, we'll do it after. Like it's just cleanup. That's all you're doing. And so once
Right.
you get to settle down, and then what do you want me to say? You're like, just answer the question. If either you know or you don't. But if you don't know, say I don't know.
Right, and then we'll move on to the
And
next one.
right,
Right.
and so you listen. Don't give in to like, okay, you didn't have to say you don't know, but I'll just take it like you know. This right here, what I'm telling you, is the most important part of the 3 questions. The concession. If you do not get the concession, do not move on to the next question. And I'm saying this specifically because what happens here, it's called an ego death.
Right.
Their ego, which is built up, which has been built up, that they think that they have, will die. And it has to. So they have to concede that they don't know. And it's a hard pill to swallow because
The
they're going to
younger, the
fight.
better. Yeah.
They're going to
Right.
fight, right? So once you hear that, I don't know, say, okay, that's fine. You don't know. Let's go to the second question. Like, be calm about it. Go to the second question. And then once you get to the second one is this. It's like the first, but a little bit different. They tell us, I'm gonna give it to you. Like I prefaced the second question. They tell us that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. So the question to you is, who has ever measured the Earth to be spinning around at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator anytime in history by any device or any person or people? You can put a little extra to it, like the way I
Great.
just did.
Next question, though. It's great.
Right.
Yeah.
So the axial rotation is the second question. Axial rotation, the spin of the Earth. Who's ever measured that anytime in history? And you could like I said, you could preface it with saying that they tell us that the Earth is spinning around at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator and so on. So who's ever measured the axial rotation of the Earth anytime in history? So they're going to either get sufficiently answered that question. Well, Foucault's pendulum. Okay, so what we're asking for is a naturally observed phenomena of Earth spin. Who has witnessed the Earth spinning anytime in history? Because they have to see the natural observed phenomena if they're going to claim that they know that the Earth is spinning.
Right.
So remember, this is all about them giving you their base knowledge of how they know that. And so when it comes out to it that they don't know, they'll say, well, the moon's moving around, the sun's moving around, duh. And you'll be like, check this out. When you're outside, what do you see from east to west? The sun moves across the sky. What do you see east to west when you see the moon? The moon moves across the sky. What do you see when the stars move? They move east to west across the sky. Everything moves east to west across the sky. Therefore, from our vantage point, we only see the sun, moon, and stars moving. At no time do we see the naturally observed phenomena of Earth spin. And if
Right.
you appeal to Foucault's pendulum, then you're already in a fallacy because you're
Right.
using a man-made device.
You're
That's
not
not
using a
naturally
natural observed phenomenon.
exactly. It's not a
You're-
naturally observed phenomena. Correct.
That makes
So
sense.
so you have to make sure your answers are airtight because you'll get the sophist in there, you'll get the weasel who tries to like say things to make you put words in your mouth or something. So there's a little bit of pushback, I would say, because they already know that the collapse of their paradigm is coming, right? So second question, you still have to wait for the oh, you have to wait for the I don't know. Don't skip that part. I'm making a very poignant effort to tell you, do not skip on the I don't know. Like you have to hear that before you go to the next one. But as soon
Right.
as they're frustrated, like, oh man, what do you? I don't know. Okay, we'll go to the next question. Next question. And so the third and final question, right? Once you get to the third and final question, is simply this: they tell us that the vacuum of space is adjacent to the pressure air that we breathe, right? So on the surface of the Earth, we're breathing at about 14 psi. So that's what we breathe on the surface. Yeah, you can measure that and that. So they know that. But they tell us as we start going up in elevation, the gradient air changes and it gets thinner and thinner, and we're not able to breathe. So by the time you get to the past the Kármán line at about 64 miles up of the Earth's surface, they tell us that the Earth starts to become the vacuum of space right beyond the Kármán line. So they're telling us that the vacuum of space right at that part right there is 10 to the negative 6. So it's about a powerful vacuum like on Earth can produce close to that, right? But further, as you further go out into space, it's called not just space but outer space. And outer space reaches levels of like 10 to negative 17 torr, right? So you kind of tell them all the rhetoric along with that, but here's the kicker,
Dude.
right? You want to go into where you start to tell them the most important part, right? So the most important part of this third question is, okay, so knowing that we have pressure on the surface and super low pressure up in the vacuum of space, how is it possible to have gas pressure without a container?
Right.
That's the capstone, right? You have to say it
Right.
that way. How do you know we have gas pressure without a container? You can say this: because if we have an open system and there's nothing stopping the gas from expanding, then that gas would naturally fill the volume of wherever it's in. So the gas would disperse.
Right.
It wouldn't stay in one place. It would disperse.
Something's containing it. That makes sense.
Right. So the question would then, like I said before, how can we have gas pressure without a container? So now you got three questions. And so their answer needs to be sufficient. If it's like, well, dude, gravity. We say, okay, now you said gravity. Please demonstrate how gravity is a container. Let's go out into the field somewhere. Can we test for this? Because you just made a claim. That claim needs to be tested. So now I need you to test gravity being a container. Please demonstrate that for us. Do you understand what that?
Yeah. So instead of beating around the bush and saying, "Well, what about gravity?"
Yes, you go
None of
straight
that.
for the demonstration. You go straight for the demonstration. So
Right.
Great for the jugular.
Yeah, it's important because you want to be concise. You don't want to fiddle faddle, him and haw, or whatever it is you want to talk about, like wasting time. You
I
don't
definitely
want
didn't
that.
feel concise
Well,
earlier.
that's why I'm.
That's why this is happening.
This is it's merely just a guide. That's all it is.
Yo,
However,
I didn't even know this was.
It's a pretty good guide, though, for real.
Yeah, dude, I didn't even know this was going on.
They're definitely highlighting three very important key points.
Yes, these are the fundamental. Yeah, these are the fundamental pillars of the Earth being a globe. They're the most important information for someone who believes that the Earth's a globe. Okay, so I wasn't even done yet, but I'm going to show you something, right? Once you get them to this level where they're already denying the fact that they can't understand how gravity is a container, you need the concession once again. Now, either you ask them the question, right? You either know or you don't know. I need the answer, please. Well, gravity, I already told you. No, you didn't demonstrate that gravity is the container for gas pressure. Otherwise, we'd be having gravity containers everywhere and containing gas everywhere. It's not the case. Well, just go outside and look up. No, you can't appeal to the sky because I need a demonstration of how gravity is a container.
Because the burden of proof is on them because it's their claim.
Right. So it's on them. So at the end of that, when you tire them out, because eventually they're going to be like, dude, what do you want me to say? I don't know. Yes, thank you. You don't know, and I'll go with that. So with that, you can wrap it up. Remember, and this ending part is even better than like me telling you to tell them like if they know or they don't know. This ending part is the masterpiece of the 3 points. Okay, so the ending summarization is you demonstrating to them that they have no knowledge that the Earth is a globe, and you do it this way. So you tell them this. So you're saying that the Earth, being a globe, number one, spinning, number two, in the vacuum of space, number three, is just a blind belief that you have. You don't know that it is. You blindly believe it right now. You didn't supply any information to give any evidence to the claims, and I gave you the floor. but you didn't sufficiently answer the question. You said you don't know to all three, and that's it. You demonstrate to them that they have a blind belief, and that is all. That is it.
Right.
You've done enough.
And then depending on what happens after that is completely up to how they react.
Exactly.
It's
You
all
get
a
it.
big movie. Yeah.
You get it. But here's the deal though. You didn't defend one time. They were on the defense the whole time, and they lost the whole time. Not only did they lose, they admitted to you conceding that they don't know 3 times on the most fundamental aspects of the Earth's
And
position.
so much that they're gonna join the Discord.
Well, I mean that can be the case, but that's not the outcome. The outcome for what you did right there was not to convince them. It was not so they can say, "Oh, I want to be a flat earther." No, it was
Damn
it was to expose their mind that they don't know. So everybody who hears will be like, "Well, let me take a shot at the title," and you're like, "Come on in, let's do the 3 points on you. Let's see how you fare." But every time, listen, since I curated these 3 points, there hasn't been a soul from an astrophysicist to the regular layman that's come in here to tell me they know. Not one.
Can
They
you write
struggle.
Can you write those down? Do you have those written down somewhere? For I can.
Actually, yeah, somebody might put them into the in the live stream voice text for you guys.
That
But
would be
check this out.
amazing.
Mickey,
Yeah,
can
check
I
this out.
expound upon this for just a moment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Remember that there is no curvature. We can't leave low Earth orbit because the Earth is flat and there is no outer space. No one has ever measured the circumference, diameter, nor the radius of
Damn
the
it.
Earth. No
Neil
one has ever
deGrasse
measured the
Tyson strikes
axial
again.
rotation of the Earth. The second law, thermodynamics, says that you cannot have a gas pressure next to a vacuum without a container. Mayhem has been telling you about these 3 points, and you should really be paying attention in class.
Okay, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I will.
I love it. That's one
I
good
need-
benefit of AI right there. Boom.
Yeah,
But no,
actually, that's a
Mayhem,
great thing. Yeah.
Thank you. And I
Yes, sir.
and I
No, I did it
definitely
because
appreciate you sharpening my skills.
No, now I just gave
Everybody's.
I gave you a broadsword, so I'm teaching you how to use it. That's what
Right.
I'm doing. So now when you
gotta
go there,
sharpen it, yeah.
like right now, sheathe your sword because you don't need to use it on anybody in here yet. But when somebody comes in and they're feisty and they're
And they
rambunctious,
will.
you do have the right temper for it. I gauge that you do have that right temper, that tone.
And the
I'm
head
a bit-
for it.
yeah. So
Sorry
this-
for
these-
interrupting, bro.
these 3 points are for you because it seems like you can carry the weight of being able to navigate, and you'll be 100% on the offense, never defense. And so whether or not, listen, when they get out of those 3 points, they don't have a leg to stand on. They can't get, well, dude, now I want to talk to you about how gravity, no, you just denied the fact that you knew anything. From the point of it, Earth being a globe, to the point that Earth's moving, and now the vacuum of space. So your whole paradigm has been rocked. You don't know anything. You just admittedly said that. So now you're going to tell me that you know? How?
Can't backtrack. You can't
You can't.
backpedal.
You're on record saying you don't know. So now
Question for you though, real
Yeah,
quick.
go ahead.
So let's say we get through these 3 points flawlessly, right? And the person that's on the receiving end of after these 3 points, let's say they bring up, let's just say they ask a simple question like, so why has no one measured it?
Because there is no curvature. That's why. Because there's no curvature. If there was curvature, it would be measured. Because there is no curvature, that's why it's not measured. Well, dude, refraction. No, because see, if when I took you through the 3 questions, you would have sufficiently answered it with that. You didn't do that. So
Right.
I am Mayhem.
what's up?
I'm just saying that I think a good one though is what the guy's trying to say is I have this with the questions and that. You know, you start asking for they'll bring up like Eratosthenes, like we all know the score with that, but then you're dragged into then another story about explaining how measuring a shadow. I mean, what's your advice on that to the guy? Going into there, they'll just say, well, Eratosthenes, Alberuni. Then you've got to go down that.
I sufficiently answered that. And the key is when you ask them the question, remember what I told you. How did the first question go?
Has the Earth now or in ancient times ever been, or has the curvature of Earth now or in ancient times has ever been measured to show drop over distance?
Yeah, Eratosthenes, they'll say.
And then what would you say if they say Eratosthenes?
Yeah, go on, mate. What would you say?
I'm not talking about dudes with sticks and shadows.
Why?
Because we're not measuring.
Drop over distance.
Drop
Yeah,
over
we're trying to figure out if anyone has measured drop over distance.
Correct.
Has anyone?
No.
You know?
And
Yeah.
so
Google it right now.
yeah, when they appeal to that, you can easily take them to that and be like, look, he didn't do it. Show me where he measured drop over distance. If you show me sticks and shadows, I'm not gonna look at it. I'm just gonna quickly hand wave dismiss it immediately. Until you show me drop over distance been measured, I don't want to look at it.
Question real quick though, and I'm not saying this to disprove the first one, but it's just like, did the drop over distance question, did that come from when they decided to claim that it's not a sphere, it's actually an oblate spheroid?
No.
Or drop over distance has always been a
Yeah.
question?
It's the consequence of a geometric shape being a sphere. The sphere,
Yeah.
the sphere, consequent of the sphere would necessitate drop over distance. It is the antecedent.
Yeah.
But it's not a sphere; it's an oblate spheroid.
It's the actual physicality of that shape, the ball itself.
Yeah,
It facilitates its drop.
Yeah, tell
That's
him.
what it is.
Yeah, Jin.
Do you get what I mean, though? When they come back with
Yeah.
well, it's not a sphere; it's an oblate spheroid. It's
Yeah,
different.
don't matter.
Don't matter?
There
Okay.
still has to be drop rate curvature. There still has to be a
Yep.
drop
What-
rate curvature.
The,
Regardless.
the other thing you get as well off the Albaru hips is depression angles. They'll say, you know, because you can do a depression angle at a height, and you'll see the apparent horizon at a lower level than your eye level. That they'll say that's drop over a distance.
Yeah, but let's keep it concise to like the point where they have to specifically
Measured,
talk.
right.
They have to directly measure it. So when they go off into other things, you can
Other
redirect
tangents.
back. Yeah, redirect back to the point, to the premise. See, here's
Right.
here's the
That's
thing that
why I like. No matter what, you're still the point of the three questions and this argument in general is to highlight the fact that it's them making claims.
Yes, and they
Right.
have to answer the question that you're.
I got it.
Listen, so when they veer off, they give you a red herring, or they.
No. Go back. Has there anyone that's been measured? Right. You keep on that. Got it.
Not only that, is they no. Well, you tell me how the Earth's flat. I want to hear you tell me how it's flat. Be like, dude, I need you to answer my question. Like, they're gonna try to use their tricks because their mind wants to escape out of being pinned down. And it gets harder because if you have other flat earthers, when those guys go, yeah, but tell me about gravity. And another flat earther goes, I'll talk about gravity right now. In the middle of your three questions, they're gonna bamboozle you.
Derails the conversation.
And it's gonna be a shit show. And you're gonna try to get it back, and the other flat earther, dude, I just want to answer this gravity question. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna be so. That's what I'm saying. You have to kind of, at least at that moment for the three questions, say, guys, please let me just run them through the three questions. Afterwards, you guys can jump in and say whatever. You have to, because
was that what was going on right there? Because I didn't know.
No, I'm
telling
you, brand new to the server, and Mayhem sounds like an OG, and
I know. Me too. I kind of just been here for months, but I have never talked to him before. This is crazy.
This is exactly what I was looking for.
Well,
how to deal with
trolls,
logical and fallacies, though. Like, super, like, I get caught up in my words, but like the thing that you really taught me is the fact that the burden of proof
rests on their shoulders.
That's key, man.
You're always on the offense. You're never on the defense. When you're on the defense, you're
exactly.
What is your profession?
See, old friend, I brought more soldiers than you did.